We get to get a van and pimp it out, the Money and Cake Show on the road. And then we just go, you and me. Kind of Thelma and Louise like.
Ooh, we are kind of like Thelma and
Maybe we
Louise,
find a
though.
sexy Brad Pitt type guy on the girl, whatever.
I don't want to find a sexy Brad Pitt type girl on the road, to be honest with you.
Hey, you know, I bet put a wig on Pitt when he was younger. Not now.
And that's the show. No.
It's not the show. Welcome to Money and Cake Seriously Lighthearted, where we take a seriously lighthearted look at the week's events.
Yeah.
Whatever crosses our feet and life in general.
Yeah.
And on today's show, or this show anyway, this episode, we're taking a look at a unique way to retire.
I think it's an amazing way.
Tell us about it.
So, came across my feed, and this is it's funny because it came across my feed, but they made it seem like it was a big deal, like something new, where this couple was talking about how they retired on a cruise ship. Now, what got me about this is I used to work for a cruise line. That one of my first jobs was for a cruise line, and I met a guy. So we're talking many moons ago, but I met a guy who sadly he was widowed, and he didn't want to go to a retirement home. And he was just like, I did the math, I did the budget. It actually was cheaper for him to live on a cruise ship, because he, like, for those that have not partaked in the cruise life, it's like a floating hotel with extra amenities. You know what I mean? Like a hotel, you go to Vegas, you go to a hotel, you got to pay for all the food and everything. No, that comes with the package. That's part of the ambiance. That's cruise life. You know what I mean? So he did the math. It was like, man, once you figured out, like, how much it was going to cost for this, and this, and this, it was cheaper for him to live on a cruise ship than to live in a retirement home. And I thought that was amazing. And at that time, I'm 18, 19, like already like that would be an awesome way to just chill. Like, cause he spent half of his year in Alaska and the other half in the Caribbean. Like, that's amazing.
So he summered in Alaska and wintered in the Caribbean?
Pretty much.
Nice.
Yeah. And it's what's cool about it. So I'm going to bring in the picture or the article from Upworthy. Ooh, see how it flew in like that? Now, they're saying they did it for a little more than $30,000 a year. I don't know what cruise ship they're on. It depends, because you're not on a really nice one for $30,000 a year, in my opinion. But they get all those discounts. I mean, you get to, if you book out further enough, like this guy, he was booking out so far in advance that they just kept him in the same room. They realized, like, why change anything? So he didn't really have to, like, he wasn't, like, checking out. He had to disembark when they would get to whatever destination, because he had to still follow the rules. But he always had the same cabin. And I was like, that's awesome. And he was always meeting new people. Now, granted, he was doing it on Holland America, so he was around people his own age. So it was like a floating retirement home of new faces, new experience, new people. That's cool to me.
That's interesting. For him, that's a widowed person.
Yeah.
This is a couple doing it, and I was trying to scroll through here to see if it actually says the cruise line in the article, and I didn't see it. I'm gonna keep a look-see here, but he says the rough math makes sense. If it costs a couple $88 per night to live on a cruise ship, that's $32,120 a year. So that's for the couple.
That's amazing.
So that's $16,000 each a year,
right?
And if they're just on their retirement and Social Security,
they're not paying for power. They're not paying for garbage.
Currently,
they're not paying for food.
Yeah, and these guys live in Seattle.
Makes sense.
So it says currently the average price of a home in Seattle, where we live, and they live, is $958,000, which would come with a mortgage that costs around $50,000 a year. So, these guys obviously would have purchased a house probably when they were
right,
younger, and the prices were reasonable, and they would have been hopefully paid off by now. But maybe not. You never know.
And that's even better for them, because that means their family's probably around here.
Yeah.
And they're cruising to Alaska and coming back. They probably see them every week. Like, hey, meet us down at Ivers.
Since leaving their jobs in the mainland behind, the Burks have been on a 50-day cruise around the Adriatic Sea.
Ooh.
taking in the sights of Europe, as well as a 51-day cruise from Seattle to Sydney, Australia.
There's one out here to Sydney, Australia?
To Sydney to Australia.
Woo.
The Burks really love cruising to Italy, Canada, Iceland, the Bahamas, but their favorite is Singapore.
They're like really doing it. They're not just hitting the 7-day seasons in like Alaska. They're like, we're going around the world. That's awesome.
It says looking to give it all up and go on a permanent vacation, just like the Burks. Angelyn has some advice for those wanting to get started, and you can click on it and get that advice. So I just did. And I'm going to look at that later.
Why'd you hit it, dude?
Because I want to look at it later.
But it's an interesting concept because, you know, we're getting up there in age. So we have to start thinking about, like, how we want.
I'm 33. I'm still young.
Fine. You'll start to think about it eventually. But it's like, it's unconventional. But if you've ever been on a cruise, like, that would be kind of amazing. Yeah. You know, now, I think they're in a good situation because they're doing it together. Mm-hmm. I like to hope that I have somebody with me at that age that I can do it with, but that's not a bad way to retire.
Yeah, and for them being in a hub of a major cruise ship hub like
right.
that, and if their family is here, you're right. So for them, that's what I was thinking about. It's like, so, you know, what about their family? You know what I'm saying? It's like, obviously, if they want to take a week off the cruise ship, they can just go stay at an Airbnb or with their family, but they're here in the Northwest mostly, likely, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So that works. But there are all sorts of different alternative ways to live now. A lot of people are, you know, tricking out their vans and trucks to, you know, what do you call them? I mean, they're livable.
I forget what the nomads. Not nomads. Is it nomads?
Well, nomads, you know, and then often some of these people can be digital nomads because they make a living. I was actually talking to someone who, during the pandemic, she had a work from home job, and she said, I traveled a lot, but she still worked.
Yeah.
So she was working from home.
Exactly.
And went to Hawaii and worked from home.
Right.
Went to different places around.
Still work from home.
And worked from home because she just had the computer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of
got the work done.
That's kind of what we're aiming for.
Yeah.
So once you guys make us popular, we are going to do this show on the road.
Yeah, or you can just Venmo me right now.
That's true. We'll take straight cash.
We can just
we have no shame.
We can just get a van and pimp it out, the Money and Cake Show on the road, and then we just go, you and me, kind of Thelma and Louise like.
Ooh, we are kind of like Thelma and Louise.
Maybe we find a sexy Brad Pitt type guy on the girl, whatever.
I don't want to find a sexy Brad Pitt type girl on the road. To be honest with you.
Hey, you know, I bet put a wig on Pitt when he was younger. Not now.
And that's the show. No.
It's not the show. But no, there are those. There's people who are doing that with all sorts of things. And there's a guy that I saw who actually, he just kind of dropped out. He was doing the whole corporate thing, and he was like, he dropped out. And there's stealth camping. That's what some people call it. So there's a slight difference between, you know, here in Seattle and other major cities, you will drive along and you'll see campers all over the roads.
Yeah. Yeah.
And those are persons who are alternatively housed.
True.
I mean, they're homeless, quote unquote, because they don't have a conventional home where they're paying a rent, a mortgage for whatever.
Right.
But they have a place which is their home.
Yeah.
And I remember once, I don't know the situation these guys were in, but I went on a walk. It was a sunny day, and I went through the park, down the water. I was coming back, and I kind of saw a van, and some people popped out and just kind of laid up on the grass. I think they had some beers with them. I thought, man, that looks attractive.
Right.
It's like, here I am, corporate slave, 9 to 5. These mother truckers, just, I mean, they could have been homeless, you know what I'm saying, in the sense. But still, they just look like, you never know their situation, but there are a lot of people who do this type of thing who aren't, they're doing it out of a choice for a lifestyle. And they'll stealth camp, and they'll have these things like just totally knocked out, and you will never know that there's someone sleeping in there. Right. It could just be a van. You think, oh, it's just a van. But they have it all like it's a home. They got a desk. They got even maybe a toilet. Yeah. You never know.
I actually, at one point in my last job, I was single, and I was like, this is the opportunity. I'm going to get an RV, and I'm just going to park it outside of my job. And I actually asked my boss this. I said, hey, if I was to get an RV and I parked it in our back lot, would you object to it? He's like, nah. And I was like, but at night when operation shut down, I'm gonna drive it close to the building so I can like use the Wi-Fi. He's like, I got no problem with that. And then I was like, well, do you mind if I run an extension cord like at the building? He's like, not at all. And I'm just like, I can save so much money. And I screwed around and got a girlfriend again.
God, women ruin
I'm
everything.
telling you. Then I was like, I had to get a place.
Yeah. No, it's something that's actually, I would do it.
Yeah, I honestly think I have it in me. I mean, when I went to New Jersey, I lived out of 3 suitcases for 6 months. That changed my whole perspective of what you need and don't need. And then that's what followed was that mentality. I was like, man, I would enjoy that, especially if you can make money on the road, travel, and I love to travel too. So I'm like, man, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. That's why I love everyone that's trying to be creators online, because you can literally do it anywhere. You don't have to do it in one set.
Well, I always thought is like and people do this, they wait tables across the nation or world even. Because it's a skill, once you know it, you can do it anywhere. Bartend.
Yeah.
And the jobs, you don't have to, they're different than corporate America.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You can go in, you can make quick money.
Right.
And it's just a whole different type of thing.
Yeah.
You can work at a place for 3 months, then go on.
And then move on.
Yeah. Go work, because sometimes it's just seasonal. You work at a seasonal place, like, oh, you want to leave? Okay, that's fine.
There was a couple I read about that worked on Rover dog walking, but they did it all over the country.
Interesting.
Anywhere they went, they had their Rover app. They would get gigs and jobs and stuff and just work. And I'm just like, but they got to work and travel. So they were making their travel money as they were traveling. I was like, so many possibilities
Do these cruise ships have Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Well, then you can just do it on the cruise ship.
Exactly.
If you're a digital nomad, you can just cruise and make money.
Exactly.
All you got to do is be able to make about 6 times.
We could turn a cabin into our studio.
Yeah, so we get 2 cabins. Or 3 cabins. I guess we each have our own cabin. We're not going to sleep together.
No, we can share a cabin.
I don't want to share a cabin with you.
You get gassy, so no.
Oh, no. No. Other way around.
Wow. Rude.
Yeah.
Well, it's something to think about. Food for thought.
Yeah.
Different ways to retire these days.
Or just live a different way. Live the nomad life. Because you never know when you're going to die.
Okay. No, it's true.
Because you might not get to retire.
Man.
So you spend all this time to retire. Most people do. But you never know.
Jeez Louise.
So what I'm saying is, live your best life.
Jinx.
So I can't talk anymore. I can't say, and we're out.